Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Altcoin Mentors YouTube channel. My name is Peter, and today I'm going to be doing the technical analysis for Bitcoin and Ether on a medium-term basis for swing traders. It's been a while since I made a video for the medium term because nothing's really happened over the last few days. What I mean by that is that even though the market's been going down for Bitcoin and for Ether, the trend didn't change. So I'll give you an example. So we had a medium-term trend change to the long side that happened a couple weeks ago. You see it right here, medium-term trend change to a long, went higher and higher and higher. And just overnight, we had the medium-term changed back to the downside. So I put this highlighted area in yellow because sometimes people will say, well, then you missed the opportunity from here to here. Yes, we did. Because how do you know that when this color change comes from on a downward move, you have color change and confirmation? Why don't you take that signal? Right? That's always the question. And then same thing. If your long-term thing is up, right, why don't you take it here? Right? Or did you take all the down signals? And if you did, where did you get out? Did you reverse? What you have to do is, as a trader that trades on a consistent basis, you have to figure out what kind of a trader you want to be, right? Do you want to be a swing trader? Do you want to be a day trader? Do you want to be a long-term trader? By doing that, you have to take a stand on which direction of the market you're going to be. You can't just be flip-flopping all the time, going from one direction to the other, especially on a swing trade, because trends don't change over time. So people say, well, yes, well, I wanted to catch this move to the downside. Right? But you can't catch everything because the example is here. As the market was going higher and higher and higher, if you took this signal to the downside, so we talked about the signal to the upside. If you took this signal to the downside, my challenge to you is, did you take the short signal over here or over here or over here? If you did, then you missed the long side move to the upside. It's really hard to be able to be like bi-directional. Because yes, we missed the move down here, but guess what? We made the money from here to all the way up here. But guess what? We missed the move from here to here, which is fine, right? So if I do the orange, right? Yeah, we missed the move from here to here before our long signal changed. That's okay. So we made enough money from here to here, right? And now we're hoping that if it goes back down, we might make money from here all the way down here. So that's the whole key, because if you broaden out the horizon, you see that this area here is not as big as you think it is. So people say, well, we missed the money move here from here to here. But guess what? If you look at the long-term horizon, our trend change confirmation to the short side back in January was all the way up here. And we made all the money from here all the way down here. And as it was going higher and higher, when it did change, we didn't take any long signals because we only go with the trend. So we went short, 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 constantly going short. We made a lot of money because we didn't try to go long. We didn't try to capture things both ways. So as the market was going higher and higher and higher, the most important thing that you can see here is what happened as the markets were going higher. We were one of the very few people to say that the long-term trend is not a buy signal, right? At best case scenario, it is neutral. And that's where it still is right now. It's still very neutral with a slight negative bias. But until it gets to this range over here, into the 13,000s, there's no need to become too excited about the possibility of it having to go to 20,000. That's what I challenged someone before when they said that the Bitcoin might go up to 20,000, 30,000, 100,000 by the end of this year. And I told them, you know what? Let's get to 13,000 first. Let's get to our previous levels before we start calling, the big ranges here, right? Let's get to 13,000. Let's get to 16,000 before we get to 20,000, right? So don't make the calls a little bit early on. Everybody wants to be right. They want to be the gurus for calling the tops and the bottoms, but that's not what traders do. If you're a long-term person, maybe you might say, yes, If you really believe that Bitcoin is going to go to 100,000, guess what? Right now is probably as good a time to buy as any, because you don't try to be perfect. But if you're a trader, if you're going in and out, right? Even if you're a swing trader, you're going in and out, once a week, maybe twice a week. You can't have that type of view. You have to become a little bit more focused on what you're going to be doing. So let's talk about this, our upcoming trade, possible upcoming trade. So our medium-term trend changed to a short. Right now we have a short signal, but we're looking for confirmation. So this is a 4-hour bar. So this bar, previous bar, closed at 7 a.m. That means that until it gets to 11 a.m., about 2 more hours, and it confirms to the downside. We don't know. We have to kind of wait for our entry. So our entry point here, possibly, if it goes, currently the low is around 93.89. So if it gets to that point, right now the market's at 94.46. We still have to wait 2 more hours. So I'm going to be moving my price entries depending on where the low is. But I still have about an hour and 45 minutes to be exact before I actually will make a entry with a stop limit order to the downside. And then if I do that, my current price for a stop loss would probably be around 9,900, which is around the top of around the failed color change bar. So you see so if I zoom in here, right, you'll see that it had a color change, but it's a fail because there was no confirmation. It was no little bit higher. So by keeping it over there, you're giving yourself a natural way. And if it does confirm around 9,300, we're actually in between the ATRs for the daily and for the 4-hour. So that gives us a good balance. So let's talk about Ether. So same thing is happening in Ether. Ether changed to the downside a little bit earlier last week, and we took some short signals down to the downside. And currently we're in a a swing trade. We got in at 837. Right now it's at 824. We went through a lot of chop, but same thing. We'll go over the scenarios about how you manage your trade. So we entered here. We entered at 837. We put our original stop loss over here. And then see how we have a failed color change? We might put it, now we lower it a little bit. The problem now is that because the waves are so tight, our 4-hour ATR is 25, our daily ATR is 69, but we haven't made enough money to the downside to kind of tighten our stops to make it a trailing stop into a profit taker. So now, because our target is all the way down here around 785, and look how close we came the other day. That's why if you look at our trade before, as it got closer to 785, as it gets closer to major support or resistance, if you've been following us on YouTube, you know that we like to tighten our stops as it gets to major levels. If it breaks out and if we're wrong, it's okay because we still made some money. If it doesn't, then we feel even better because we do the same thing over and over again. So market went down, it didn't get close to 784, so we started, we still keep it loose on a techno-strategic way, and now we put our stop loss to the top at 850. So even now, after a day and a half, we still have a stop loss, not a profit taker. But if it continues to go down, because right now it's in the 820s, if it continues to go down and it changes color to the downside, then we might have even almost a break-even proposition in the next couple of hours. So that's the outlook for Bitcoin and for Ether. Litecoin is not doing that well. And what I mean by that is that it's neutral. So it's doing well in terms of people who are holding it for a long-term perspective. Because out of the three, the bias for Litecoin is still not negative. For Bitcoin and for Ether, on a medium term and a short term, it's negative. But for Litecoin, it's still neutral. So because of that, we're not making any trades. Hopefully you have a great weekend. Good trading.